tomorrow. Gotta live, try to get a little wiggle room, the rest don't stop. Quid pro quo, I need the best y'all got. Tryna make a dollar, flip it like it's vinyl. Tryna make a what's it worth to you if the price too high? Quid pro quo, I need the best y'all got. Give me your best. I won't take nothing less, cause I'm giving you 100. How you always leaving me with nothing? I'm not impressed. It's gonna take more than this, cause I'm giving you 100. And I don't even know if I can trust you for nothing.
What is happening? Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday. Welcome to June the 26th. Gosh dog it, this is the only June 26th, 2024 there's ever going to be. So make sure you make it the best June 26th ever. Good morning. My name's Aaron Dwyer. If you're joining me this morning, hey, good welcome and good morning. I hope that you're up and ready to go. Hope you've had at least one cup of coffee like me and getting your day started. But I appreciate you guys being here and joining me this morning. If you do me a favor, if you are here this morning, just shoot me a good morning and tell me your name. Don't know. I'm not sure where everybody is. I've shared this call to a couple of different platforms to Drive Reach Gain Nation, to our collective, our group of collective agents, our collective bunch. And then also this morning, I included Simply Home, which is my real estate company. So just let me know where you are and where you're watching from, but probably the better thing is good morning and welcome to Wednesday. If you're watching this later, if you're not up early because you're lazy, I'm just teasing. Mark, good morning, Bubba. How are you? If you're lazy, and I'm just kidding about you being lazy, kind of kidding, not kidding. If you're not up this morning and you're going to watch this later, and that's not lazy. I know a lot of people aren't morning people. It's all good. If you're watching this later, welcome. Thanks for watching. And I hope that something that's said in the next little bit helps improve your day. And so let's get rocking and rolling, man. Again, the reason for these calls is I'm a huge believer in morning routines. And I believe that the best way to affect the outcome is to have a really good beginning, right? And if we do enough good things in the beginning, if we set our sails in the right direction in the beginning, that our chances of achieving an outcome become the chances of achieving that go up exponentially. So I'm a big proponent of a morning routine. I'm a big proponent of any routine. I think it's been scientifically proven that the brain craves routine. That's why habits are so hard to break. And so that's it. That's what our brain does. We're wired that way. And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been talking through a couple of different things sort of around one central point. And my one central theme, my biggest belief that I carry with me is that every single one of us are built. Every single one of us are created. Every single one of us are formed around this birthright, this special purpose, this spark of ingenuity, this spark of impact that we've been endowed by our Creator with to impact the people around us. And I think if we look at nature, and again, I tend to look at things that are simple. I don't try to make things too difficult or too complicated. One apple seed doesn't produce one apple. Right? One apple seed produces a tree, and a tree produces multiple fruits. And I believe that's the way we are as human beings, that our special purpose and our impact is to not only improve one life, but it's to improve many lives around us. So Mark Twain said the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. And my why was, I believe every single day my job is to get up and impact the world around me. My job is to get up and try to find a way to make my stage bigger, make my message bigger so that I can impact more lives. And so I try to put myself out there, man. I try to put myself out there in spaces that do that, and working pretty hard to do that for you guys, and I believe that's for all of us. And so this morning, I want to continue a conversation that started a couple of weeks ago. I finished a book called Atomic Habits. We talked about habit formation and the reason why we create habits. We talked about good habits and bad habits, and that's really an elementary discussion. A lot of you understand the purpose of habits because every single January 1st, or probably December 20th, or maybe even December 1st or 2nd, you start talking about changing habits. You start talking about resolutions. You start talking about how you're going to alter your behavior in some way to make some good thing better or make some bad thing stop, right? And inevitably, we all get to this point on January the 13th, 14th, or 15th where we go from being super, super excited to no action at all. And so in that, I want to kind of stay there on that theme. I want you to have that in the back of your mind. So as we move through this discussion today, as I talk about the stages of achieving everything, it's kind of like habit formation. It's the same process. But here's the frame I want you to look at this picture through. I want you to look at this picture through a hero story. And whatever hero story that you want to put in the box. If you want to talk about Moses or Luke Skywalker or whoever else you want to talk about, Clark Kent. I don't know. I don't remember a lot of names from a lot of. I mean, there's stories out there, but whatever story you want to frame this around, I want you to look at your life in that perspective, as that you are the hero. You are the one creating the story. You are the one choosing the behaviors. You are the one going from A to B. You're the one trying to get from the beginning to the end. You're the one trying to achieve something, hopefully, that's bigger than you thought about when you were 6 or 7 years old, or when you were 12 or 13 years old, or when you were 18 or 19 or 21 or 22 years old. You're thinking about something in a grander scale and thinking about hopefully having an impact on the people around you. And if you're not, maybe this is the call and the conversation that you hear and the words you hear that initiate that in you, because you feel that pull that there's something bigger in you. Well, so in this conversation, as we talk about this hero story, I want you to think about these 5 stages, and we're going to talk through these today in the time that we have. So these are the 5 stages: uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, the valley of despair, informed optimism, and realizing the goal. So I want you to think about these 5 stages that I just talked about, and maybe we'll break these down in the next 5 shows, the next 5 days. I'll break these down in further detail and get sort of granular on these things, because I believe it's super important for you, especially in the encouragement piece of this. Come on, don't do this to me. Come on, Wi-Fi. Sorry, y'all, my Wi-Fi is kind of crapping out on me. Here we go. As we think about this, and as you think about this, and we start to break this down in a more granular level and look at this, I'm hoping that this discussion gives you some encouragement, that it encourages you in this process of achieving something great, of having a greater impact. And I don't care what field of service you're in. If you're a preacher, or you're a real estate agent, or you're a real estate broker, or you own a candy shop, or you work at AutoZone, I don't care. Whatever it is, whatever endeavor you are doing now, whatever thing you are committed to now, there's a way for you to have impact. So let's go through these 5 stages. And so it's important to remember. It's important to remember that we get better. We get better in the process of just going through the act. We get better just practicing our craft. We get better at going through the suck and the suck and the suck and the over and over again sucking to improve and to figure out what doesn't work and to figure out what we can cut out or what we can bring back in. I'm reading a book right now that in the whole book, and the whole premise of the book is it's the book is around 2 different. You ask a question to get an answer, but that so many people try to make this too complicated. We try to overcomplicate everything, because I think sometimes as humans, if we we have this thing that if we make it more complicated, it makes us feel more important. If we make it be more steps and we can put a bunch of bells and whistles on it, that we think it's more important, when in fact, this is a really simple deal. So we get better by going through the process. We get better by sucking over and over and over again. We get better by striking out and striking out and striking out. We get better by hitting the ball in the woods over and over and over again. As long as we don't pull back, as long as we continue in the process, we get better. From a real estate perspective, you get better at cold calls the more cold calls you make. You get better at door knocking with more doors that are knocked on. You get better at your listing presentation by practicing your listing presentation over and over and over again and getting rejected over and over and over again. You start to whittle. Sorry, y'all. Who had something in my throat? You get better by going through the process. You get better at putting screws in boards by doing it over and over and over again. So we get better by going through the process. The details come from repetition, doing it over and over again. And I talked about this yesterday. I talked about the fact that a lot of us try to make it too complicated. We try to add too many steps in here. So say, for instance, I'm in the real estate business, and I do some real estate coaching, and I help agents find ways to generate more business. And so instead of, and I wish I had that picture, maybe I'll share this tomorrow. Instead of going to an agent and giving them a sheet of paper that's 2 pages long, that's a memory jogger that says, hey, these are the 150 people you talk to on a daily basis, go talk to them. That creates a sense of overwhelm, right? And overwhelm initiates stress. Stress creates a chemical release in our body. And when that chemical is released in our body, what we tend to do is we fight, flight, or freeze. So we fight it. We take an active, proactive measure. Very few of us do that. Or we'll run from it. Most of us do that. Or we'll freeze. And even more of us do that. To the degree that for a real estate agent, if you get overwhelmed, and I've seen this since I've been in this business for 18 years, and I've watched agents, I've watched brokers, I've watched people do this. When you get to a place of overwhelm, think about this in your life. When you get super stressed, all you want to do is just stop and take a breath. When things are happening in your life and things are getting stressful and you feel like you're spinning too many plates at once, you'll just stop. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again. But here's where the people who actually make something happen, the people who are special, those 10%ers, I love to coach in the 10% differentiator. The 10% differentiator for the high performer is this: they will keep pushing, and they won't spin 15 plates. They'll find one lead source that they can concentrate on. They'll find 2 lead sources they can concentrate on, and they'll dive in. And they're going to suck at it. They're going to get hung up on. People are going to tell them no, but they're not going to stop. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep diving in. They're going to keep diving in until that becomes almost habitual. That becomes almost second nature. And then they can add another one and another one. You know, scientifically, well, let's back up. I'm getting off on the rabbit trail. I will talk about that. If you remind me, I will talk about that later, about the percentage chances of you as we start to add inputs. As we start to add new behavior or thoughts of creating new behaviors, as we begin to add additional behaviors from 1 to 2 to 3, the percentage chance of us accomplishing any one of them goes down dramatically. It's almost scary. But if you can just do one and stick to it over and over and over again, do the hard thing over and over and over again, get good at it over and over and over again, instead of trying to go run a mile the first day you decide to exercise, just go walk for 15 minutes. Hell, go walk for 5 minutes. Just start and get better and get better and get better. Okay. So today, I'm going to get back to where we were talking about, because I do want to talk about these 5 things in our next 5 sessions. But we're talking about the 5 stages to achieve anything, from going to point A to point B, from getting from where you are to where you want to go. Okay. Yesterday we talked about, and we've talked about this multiple times because I believe it's an essential, important factor in human performance, in your performance, and in my performance, is we've got to have a goal. We have to have an end game. We have to have something that we're going after. I heard this said once that humans are the only animal created who has the ability to not live up to its full potential. That the human being is the only animal ever created that has the ability to not live up to its full potential. I mean, an oak tree is going to be the biggest oak tree it can be. It's going to go as big and as broad as it can possibly be. A lion is going to be the biggest, baddest lion it can possibly be. It's never going to shrink from its potential. But humans will shrink from our potential. Another topic, another day, but it's just something to remember. So as we talk about these 5 stages of going from 0 to 100 or A to B, we got to have that thing out there that we're attached to, okay? So with me this morning, if you're up with me this morning, I want you to think about this in this term, okay? Or in these terms. You have decided to, and I'm going to use real estate as an example, okay? You may be new. You may be experienced. You may have been in this business for 1 year or 5 years, but you're in this business as an entrepreneur, and you have decided at some point in your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to be better. You're going to do more. It could be more transactions. It could be higher commissions. It could be whatever it is. And typically that's what it is. It's more transactions and higher commissions. So you've made the decision and again, I'm just going to use real estate as an example because that's the space that I work in, I suppose. But you're going to use that as your metric. You're going to use that as your guide. That's going to be your waypoint out there. You probably have people in your circle. You have people in your company. You have people that you talk to on a daily basis. You have people that you do business with who are making the kind of money that you want to make. They're doing the deals that you want to do. They are operating in the circles that you want to operate. So you see them doing that, and your question or your statement to yourself is, well, if they can do it, I can do it. But I'll give you a prime example. I met a guy named Vic Keller years ago. Vic Keller is probably in his late 40s, 48-ish, 49-ish. I met him at a mastermind event, got to have lunch with him, got to hang out with him for a little bit, have some really cool conversations. Well, Vic Keller is a billionaire multiple times over. He started a bunch of companies. Warren Buffett purchased, they say, somewhere in the $70 billion range, purchased all of his companies. So this dude he's doing okay, right? And I had a conversation with him, and sitting down beside him at lunch, he didn't sit in his chair taller than me. He didn't elevate above the ground. His food didn't magically ingest into his body. Everything that he did looked just like everything that I did. But I was sitting next to a guy who had made $70 billion, who had been like in my circle, in my perspective, he's at the pinnacle of success, achieving things that I didn't even know possible. I'd heard about people making billions of dollars, but I'd never really been around anybody who'd made $1 billion. Not only $1 billion, but done that 70 times over. But one of the things that struck me when I saw Vic again a month, 8-9 months later, is he did a whole presentation on, if I can do it, you can do it. Why not me? If he can do it, I can do it. And I think that goes into our uninformed optimism, right? So I look at Vic Keller, but me looking at him, is $73 billion a difficult metric? Sure it is. That's not easy. There aren't very many people who do that. But if he can do it, I can do it. And I will tell you, in that moment, I had uninformed optimism. I didn't know what he had been through. I didn't know what it took. Just like you as a real estate agent, when you see that person who's making the money that you want to make and driving the car that you want to drive and operating in the neighborhood that you want to operate in and doing the transaction count that you want to do, you look at them and say, well, if they can do it, I can do it. So you had this uninformed optimism because you're not sure what it took to get there. Most of us, when we look at a goal, when we start from point A to go to point B, we have no idea what it's taken that person to do what they've done. We hear the stories of Michael Jordan and we hear the stories of Kobe Bryant. We hear the stories of these great champions who have achieved these great things, and we watch them get their trophy. We watch them lift the Stanley Cup. We just watched the Stanley Cup finals. Jagger and I watched that the other night, and Congrats to the University of Tennessee baseball team for winning the national championship, the College World Series. But we watch those kids and we watch those athletes lift up those trophies, and we watch the elation as they grab that thing that symbolizes they've achieved the pinnacle of the level they're at right now. But you don't know, and I don't know what it's taken them to get there. You don't know, and I don't know what they've had to do to get to that point. How many hours they have, how many days, how many months they got up at 4 a.m., how many days and months they worked out when they were tired, how many days and months they embraced the suck when they didn't feel like going to the gym and their elbow hurt or their head hurt or their leg was broken or whatever, and they still got up and did the thing. You don't know, and I don't know what it took to make that happen. But in the first stage, when we start our journey and we see that, we have this uninformed optimism. Every kid I remember as a child watching the World Series and thinking, I want to play in a World Series. I didn't know at that moment when I had that uninformed optimism, all I was pretending. All I was imagining. All I was thinking what it would be like to be in that situation. But I had no idea what it took. And the older I got, the more I realized what it actually took. So when we are in this stage, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not saying that uninformed optimism is not a good thing. Hell, I would rather you start and rather you be optimistic about the outcome than be pessimistic about the outcome, right? I want you to have that optimism. I want you to see somebody doing what you do, having what you want, being the person that you wish you were. I want you to see that person and say, if they can do it, I can do it. I kind of want you to be in this uninformed optimism, but understand the first stage is always exciting. It's always exciting in the 8-hour drive to the beach with 3 kids in the car and your wife. It's always exciting to start, but it doesn't take long for the kids in the back to get annoying. And it doesn't take long for and I can't say this about my wife because my wife, she apparently has the bladder of the Hoover Dam. I'm typically the one that has to stop and pee every 15 minutes. But for most of you, the roles are reversed. Like your wife has got to stop every 10, 15, every 30 miles. Your wife's got to stop and go get something to eat, or I'm hungry. I want to use the restroom. My wife's not that way. My wife slocks in and it's my fault. I'm the one that stops a lot in our drives. So it's actually pretty funny. But we all have uninformed optimism, right? We all have the moment when we start that it's all going to be okay. And we see roses and rainbows. We hear the birds singing. We can picture what it looks like. And I want you guys, I don't want to say this in a way that you don't understand. I want you to have that. I want you to paint that rosy picture. I want you to smell the flowers. I want you to see the end line. I want you to feel like I want you to feel what it feels like for your feet to be in the sand. I want you to understand what it feels like to walk across that stage and get the number 1 trophy to being the best in your company. I want you to experience the end in the beginning. But understand, you're in the first stage of the hero story. You're in the first stage, the first of 5 levels that you're going to have to get through to get from point A to point B. You are in uninformed optimism. You are in this bubble of it's all going to be okay. And I'm excited to call these 10 people that I've never talked to before. I'm super excited to pull up in the neighborhood to go knock on these doors for the first time. You're in this moment where every possibility exists. And every wonderful outcome is there. Uninformed optimism. It's essential in the journey. It's essential in your hero story. If you think about that in all of your hero stories, you get the burning bush moment. You get the mission from God. You hear the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi telling you, go do this. You get the inspiration to go be special. You get the inspiration that ties you to your mission, your impact. And it feels so good. I want you to see the outcome. I want you to see the rainbows. I want you to tie to that thing in the distance. I want you to be optimistic that you're going to make it happen, that you're going to achieve your potential, that you're going to have the impact you were created to have. But just understand. It is January 1st in the uninformed optimism stage. It is January 2nd. You just walked into the gym. You bought yourself some new workout clothes. You got brand new shoes. And man, you are excited to finally change your body shape. You are excited to finally knock off a few pounds, to get a little bit stronger, and to be healthier. It's January the 2nd, and everybody's in the gym, and the gym's full of uninformed optimism. Because nobody in that gym understands what it's actually going to take at that moment to get what they want. In the moment of uninformed optimism, in this first stage of achieving anything, in this first stage of uninformed optimism, you have no idea what it's going to take. But I'm going to give you a little bit, because I know that sounds really ominous and maybe a little negative. But guess what? You don't have to. Because the magic is not knowing exactly what it's going to take in the beginning. The magic is just continuing. The magic is just keeping going. The magic is being at the gym on February the 2nd, on March the 2nd, and on June the 2nd when you don't feel like it. That's where the magic happens. The magic happens when you take that uninformed optimism and you're in this little bubble of everything's going to be okay, and you keep going when it's not. That's where the magic happens. So today, if this morning you're hearing this and there's something that you've got to go do, just get started. Find you somebody that you can attach to. Find me. Call me. I'll coach you through it. Find somebody that you can get around you that will help inspire, breathe life into whatever it is that you want to do. I'll just be straight with you. I feel like a lost ball right now. I feel like a lost ball. I feel like I am a ball in the weeds that my kid threw out there in the weeds, and he didn't know where I am, and I don't know where I am. I just know I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And I don't think that has anything to do with a company, so don't take it the wrong way if you're watching this. I just think it has to do with me personally. It has to do with the impact that I'm making and what I've been created to do and what so I had to call a guy yesterday. I'm like, dude, you got to help me. Come look for me, because I've lost my way. And I feel like I'm making my way through it. I'm just being real with you. Sometimes you have to have people around you to speak life, to breathe life into you. Sometimes you have to have people around you to breathe life into your mission, breathe life into your story, because you are the hero of your story. So whatever it is that you've got to go do, whatever the impact is that you need to have, whatever impact you need to make on the world around you, whatever thing that's out there that you need to attach to, see, believe in, envision, and go after and to achieve, whatever that is, I'm here to help. I'm here to help talk you through it. Been here almost 30 minutes. It's Wednesday morning. It's the middle of the week. I hope and pray that these words have an impact on you today. I hope and pray that you'll get up today with an understanding that your hero story, that you're in the right spot. That you're in the right spot and doing the thing over and over and over again. And maybe we should have talked about it. I shouldn't have left you with uninformed optimism, because I probably should have gone through some more. But but cliffhanger, right? You can join me in the morning, and we'll talk about the next two stages, and I'll get into those pretty quickly tomorrow, because I think the next two stages are where a lot of people end up stopping, where a lot of people end up quitting, where the hero story for a lot of people, this is where they stop. And if Star Wars ended in the next two segments, it wouldn't be near a cool story. So, all right, guys, have a great Wednesday. It's June the 26th. Go make this day awesome. Go do something awesome for somebody else. Go be grateful for what it is that you have, what it is that you do today. Create some momentum in your life today. But most of all, I want you to be good. I want you to be great, and I want you to be you. Thanks for joining. If you're watching this later, thanks for watching. And hopefully I'll see you in the morning at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. All right, guys. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.